Would you have them do a polygraph if you were leaving anyway? For some background, I discovered my husband had had an on-off-again affair with his ex-girlfriend for 3 years during our marriage. He was also spending money on cam girls, exchanging in and bleeping with randos on Snapchat, Reddit, dating apps, messaging escorts, etc. The most concerning thing was that he admitted that he had installed a spy camera in our guest bathroom because he wanted to see my friend's boob job. She stayed with us often. I kicked him out and we're in the process of getting divorced. Even though it's over, he's still trying to convince me that he never slept with the ex-girlfriend, they just kissed a few times, and that he never met up with any of the escorts and people online. Of course I don't believe this, but he has offered to do a polygraph and pay for it, and I really want to do it, even though it will change absolutely nothing. Regardless of whether or not he actually freaked anyone, he was absolutely still in love with his ex, and what he did was still cheating. I guess it's just morbid curiosity on my part to see if he would actually pass, or hope that maybe I will somehow learn more of the truth. I know I shouldn't need any more truth. The spy camera thing still really bothers me. I saw his search history, and he frequently searched for the old site as anyoneUp.com, which was a revenge P site that not only posted non-consensual but also listed the people's phone numbers, addresses, social handles, etc. He was also on a site called Bleep. Basically, I'm afraid that because he had hidden cameras in our house and was on a bunch of sites like that he was trading or even posting pics, videos of my friend and me online. He was also really obsessive about recording us during intimacy and trying to get me to send him nudes, which I allowed because I never imagined my own husband would ever share them with anyone. This is what I really want to grill him about during a polygraph. So, would you guys bother with a polygraph, even though it doesn't really change anything? Even if he did share my and others' in, I don't think he'd ever cop to where they were posted so I could get them taken down. How do I handle this situation and what would you do? I feel so alone. My husband is 34 and I am 28. We have been married for 1.5 years. Around the 1-year mark he was unfaithful and cheated on me with an online W. He confessed and we have gone to marriage counseling together on a weekly basis since that happened. I have had a very hard time trusting him since that happened, and recently something happened that has me feeling really sad and anxious. Last summer I found out he was talking with one of his female coworkers on Instagram. I asked if the conversations were work-related and he said no. I asked him to please stop talking with her outside of work because I'm not comfortable with that. We argued about it for weeks before he said okay and stopped supposedly. Recently he got a new job with better pay. We were both happy and excited, naturally. I recently went to look at this female coworker's page to see if she still works with him, and to my surprise saw that no, she does not. She works at his new job as the manager. He got this new job through her and hid this from me. I confronted him and a huge argument ensued. He says there's nothing to worry about and it's not a big deal, but I am livid. He is the fact that this girl he knows I'm already uncomfortable with is his new manager, and she is the one that called him to tell him about the opening. His response to me being pissed is that he did it to protect me from being worried all the time. WTF, I don't know what to do. And yes, for the record, she's gorgeous, with big fake TTS, and she is snooty and rude in person. I can't stand her, and now they are going to be working together full time. He also had the audacity after cheating on me to hide this entire thing from me. He was hoping I just wouldn't find out. My husband's mistress won't stop harassing us. I've been with my husband for over 2 decades. We've had our ups and downs, and he ended up starting an emotional affair with someone who took advantage of his mental health state and the situation. Please don't knock my husband because I definitely wasn't helping at that time since I didn't know he was struggling. He almost ran off with this woman, but realized he could never leave me, so he thought he could have both. Literally the day I put my foot down and told him I wished him the best but I was leaving and filing for divorce, he was an absolute mess. He tried to talk me out of not fighting for him, but I was resolute. I will not share my husband. Period. So he began listening to love songs that made him think of me and crying in the bed for hours. I was like, what? He wants me gone. Long story short, that night he was literally crying and begging me to stay and telling me I was the love of his life. She meant nothing. He put all of his feelings for me into her because she made him feel good with praise, etc. He dumped her via text and never looked back. He tried to let her down nicely even though he literally wants nothing to do with her, and has outright said he couldn't care less about her or her life. He said he's sorry she got hurt, but it's the price of doing business if you're going to be a side piece. He said she made the first move at the behest of her mother, so she knew exactly what she was doing when she did it. Anyway, my husband cheated on both her and me during that time with someone else as well. Like I said, it wasn't about her for him, and he was in a bad place mentally. We are in therapy, he is getting the treatment he needs, as am I, and I've forgiven him for all of that. even though he feels immense shame and guilt and tries to do anything and everything to prove he loves me and make me ridiculously happy for the rest of my life. He even tattooed my name over his heart in my handwriting as a surprise for me because he wanted to prove I'm all in for life. You're my soulmate. My husband hates tattoos and he did that. How could I not forgive this man? You know, of course I'm hurt, but I won't beat him up over it for the rest of our lives. That isn't the problem. The problem is this woman will not stop trying to contact him. He let her down as nicely as possible. We are in the process of buying a new house right now and many other life changes, and she still will not stop. He said she'd never be this way, and he's honestly shocked she's acting so desperate and pick-me-ish. He thought she was a stronger person than that who valued her self-respect. Well, clearly I was right and she isn't, because now she is contacting our family and me. My husband is considering serving her with a restraining order if necessary, but she just won't quit. He's in the process of changing his number, email, etc. because she's relentless. He'd offered to do all of this before, but I told him he didn't have to because if I can't trust him to do the right thing, then I don't want him. So he has told me every single time she has contacted him. He has asked my permission to respond. I even told him that I thought it'd be a nice thing for him to message her one last time and tell her he didn't mean it when he said he didn't care if something happened to her. I found it to be really hurtful after he told me he said it, and I'm not like her, so I don't believe people should just be unnecessarily unkind. So my question is, what do we do? My in-laws are all ready to rip her head off. My husband told my Phil yesterday she's desperate and crazy and to block her. My 1049 and still despise the ground she walks on. Our whole family thinks she's just a gold digger who thought she found her honeypot. We actually didn't even post on social media about going to his hometown because we didn't want her to try to come stalk him while we were there. It's that bad, which is insane to me because she was my friend at one point too, and I never expected her to be this pathetic. Granted, my husband led her on in such a shooty way, so I kind of understand and honestly feel sorry for her in that way a bit. We both do, but we are sick and tired of her not taking no for an answer, and he's ready to file legal documents with our attorney. I just want this girl to go away and leave our family alone. What next? My husband of nearly 14 years was cheating on me. Been married almost 14 years, 34 female, and B to 35 male. Towards the end of last year, I brought up divorce because of us fighting a lot and him acting different towards me. He even filed for divorce after we talked about it. We both decided to work on the marriage though and started therapy together. A few months ago, he told me he thought he might be gay instead of bi, but was only attracted to me when it came to females, so we talked about him experimenting with men as long as he didn't do it in secret to see if that's what he was, but he decided against it. So for months I've been worried he might leave me for a man someday and trying my best to show him affection and love which he wouldn't show back. He was getting increasingly distant and calling me weird for wanting to be affectionate so much. I was dying inside thinking I was losing him even though he ended the divorce papers. Fast forward to a few weeks ago when he needed a major surgery. I ended up finding out he changed his phone's password so I couldn't answer his sister's texts. While he was recovering in the hospital, he finally told me the password because he needed help getting into his phone. I ended up going home for the night and looking in his Apple Watch and iPad, and finding out not only did he hook up with a random man on a fake work trip in February behind my back. He has posted on Reddit like a year ago with NSFW posts wanting bleep jobs from men, and even made a post for bleep on bleep.com in 2015 and contacted a random man from it. He swears they never met up BTW. The behind my back stuff hurt, but I understand having needs I can't meet being a fab non-binary. What hurt the most though was I found months worth of texts and calls to his old female employee from a few jobs back. He's been in a relationship with her since a month before our divorce talk. He has even posted on Reddit about wanting to divorce me before I brought it up, but didn't want to end up paying me alimony. They talked about him getting his wedding band tattoo removed. He even sent her money and gifts for her and her kids. He called me a loser to her and even said they should have cheated together when they first met. She's younger and prettier than me. I feel so gross and useless. He tried to say they were just friends. I even gave up on a trip back home for my grandfather's funeral so he would be able to afford his trip back home to see his dad in hospice. But it turns out he had plans for her birthday and their first date together instead. I feel like a fool. I have panic attacks when I try to sleep. I want to die. I feel like an idiot because I still want to be with him. He ended up calling her while I was there and ended it with her and blocked her on everything. But part of me is still scared that he will try to talk to her again. We have therapy coming up and I will bring everything to light with the therapist. Hopefully I can move past this.
Make sure and subscribe.